everybody please take your seats? We're going to get started now, right? First, we're going to have our former chair, Kenny Golden, do the prayer. Afterwards, we will have our vice chair lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, let me see. Maybe it's not on.
Turn it on.
Anybody hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I guess we got to see if that one's on too.
Hi. You coming?
Okay.
Can they hear us?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Please join with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we beseech you at this time to help our country, which is in serious trouble. We know that there are many challenges ahead. We need your wisdom, your guidance, and your love to get us through. But particularly this time we ask for you to lend your healing powers to our country, both mentally and physically. With so many people dying of this disease that's come upon us, we ask your help in helping solving or mitigate this disease. And for those people that are sick now, help them come through this horrible disease, and help their families, for those that are suffering with it and those who have lost people before, and all those people that are suffering. I ask particularly for help in my family. I have someone who's very ill that needs your help. I ask that you help them, and of course look after the 102-year-old that we love so much. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, if everybody would have their seats. Are you okay? Is this something with a chair? Is your chair through the floor? Through the floor?
I'm not that heavy.
Okay. Can we get somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, Ronald,
Okay, is there a chair? I just can't back up. I'll be right.
There's a hole in the wall.
Sorry. Separation. You got that on A's.
Trust me, you had the whole group.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Carol Weems with the school board. She's one of our school board members. As the only elected official in the audience, we have two though over here, one on Zoom.
Here.
Oh, Laura Hughes. Oh, I'm so sorry. And Laura Hughes on school board. We have two school board members here. I just mess up every week, don't I? And we have two on our panel as well today. Okay, so the forum tonight, we have the school board candidates, and if you have one of these, right, you could have picked them up when you came in, right? These are all the candidates that are going to be on the ballot when you go there. They are not all here tonight. Beverly Anderson didn't answer us as whether or not she is coming. Jeffrey Feld is on Zoom. Laura Logan can't make it. Vicki Manning is also a school board member here. Matthias Telkamp is on Zoom. Luis Cortez. Terrence Riggs couldn't make it. Daniel Edwards is on Zoom. Jennifer Franklin is over here. Joanna Moran is next to her, and Jessica Owens never answered our request either. Okay, just to let you all know that Virginia Beach has a hybrid system. We have 4 at-large seats, and we have 7 district seats. What a lot of people don't know is no matter what district you live in, you can vote for every other district's representative. I know that may sound strange to you, but only the candidate has to live in the district. You get to vote for all 11 members. 6 of them will be elected this November. No, 5, sorry, 5, and then 6 the next time, because 5 and 6. Okay, so you get to choose 2 people at large, and then 1 for each of the 3 districts. Okay, so that information is on the back, so you can see that. Okay, so the forum tonight, we are going to go from my ladder, left to right. Okay, and we're going to give everybody 2 minutes to introduce themselves and tell us why they are running. Okay, we have, I'm being paused here. Okay, so the timekeeper is right here, right? That's when we get down to your last 30 seconds, she'll put that 30-second sign up, and when it's time to stop, she'll put that stop sign up. Is that good? Uh-oh, you're having trouble with the mic.
Wait a second. Go ahead and fill in. I'll see if I can hold it. I'll get it, Diane. I'll get it.
You got that?
Oh, came out.
No, he's got to loosen it up. It's taped in.
It's taped in.
If the Navy would have been handling this, it would have been done right in the first place.
I agree.
Okay, so we give them 2 minutes to do their opening arguments, their opening statements. And then after that, we'll go to questions, and the questions will start to the person on the left of Luis, which is Vicki Manning. And then we'll go around with the questions. They'll have 1 minute to answer those questions. We'll do it in a round robin, and then the next question, the first person will answer will be Joanna, and then the 4th person, and so on and so on. Got that? So everybody gets a chance to be the first person answering the question. Right? Now when we do the closing statements, that'll be 1 minute. We will start in the reverse order from there to here. Okay? Everybody got that? Any questions? Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so our first candidate, Luis Cortez, would you 2 minutes tell us who you are, why you're running?
Sure, no problem. Hi everyone, thank you for having us here today. My name is Luis Cortez, and I'm running for school board in the Centerville district. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey. Born there, and my mom raised us as a single mother. She was a preschool teacher for 24 years, and from there I joined the Navy. After I left the Navy, I started a small business owner. I have now 2 Spanish radio stations in the Hampton Roads. I moved them from Norfolk to Virginia Beach, and I have a landscaping company and a security firm. And what got me motivated to run, is the fact that for the last 2 years I was fighting for equal education for my son, who's in special needs, and I was feeling that school was failing us as parents, and not letting us know our rights are to the fullest. And so I started digging in, and I fought them all the way, and I was able to get equal education for my son. And then once I met with Vicki, Carolyn, and Laura, I knew that this was what I wanted to do, and here I am now. Thank you.
Okay, now Vicki.
So I'm Victoria or Vicki Manning.
Okay, now, I'm Victoria or Vicki Manning. I am your current at-large representative on the school board, and I know many of you here in the room, but you may not know my story. I consider myself a beach girl. I moved here in 1992, but I did grow up in a small town in Woodstock, Virginia, up in the Shenandoah County on a small farm. And my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, so I moved down to Virginia Beach seeking opportunity. I became a waitress at the Jewish Mother restaurant that's no longer there. And then I went to TCC and worked my way through college. I would work and go to TCC and work, and eventually I became the first in my family to achieve a bachelor's degree, which I received from Old Dominion University. I'm very proud of that. I married my husband, Scott. He just 2 years ago retired after 30 years as a United States Navy captain. And we have 2 boys, a rising junior and senior at Cox High School. Our oldest is actually applying for colleges right now, and he seeks to follow in his father and grandfather's footsteps and attend the United States Naval Academy, and maybe even become a Marine one day, Robert. But I'm running for school board. I'm running for re-election because I think that student discipline is a huge problem in our schools. In this last spring, when I made that choice to run for re-election, I felt it was important to fight for those students who don't have a voice. And I didn't want to run for just me. And so I'm running with a team of people. You'll see the red cards on your table. So us 4 up here, we're the Students First VB team. So I want you to not only vote for me, I want you to vote for all 4 of us so we can make an effective change on the school board this November. And I'm proud to be a part of the military team. They'll tell you about it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna?
Hi everyone, my name is Joanna Moran. I am running for school board with the Rose Hall District. Some of you already know me, but for those of you that don't, a little bit about me. My parents were missionaries to Ghana, West Africa for 15 years. I lived there for 9. I served in the Navy as a gas turbine mechanic, which brought me to our great city. I have received my associates here at TCC and my bachelor's at ECPI. I joined the Department of Corrections and served as a correction officer for 4 years. About a year ago, I went back to my roots in the trade and transferred to the maintenance department as a general trade supervisor. I'm running for school board because I want to be a voice for those that feel like they've been silenced. I also know how important it is to address school discipline because my son was assaulted in our school system. I also know how important it is for kids to have choices because not everybody is college bound. So I'm a huge advocate for increased vocational classes. Again, I'm running for school board for the Rose Hall District, but like she was saying, you can vote for me no matter where you live, and I appreciate it, and thank you for your support.
Jennifer?
Thank you.
This is my time, right?
Okay.
All right. So, hi, I'm Jennifer Franklin, and I'm actually running in the Kempsville district. I actually came to the United States. I'm an immigrant. When I was 3.5 years old, I was adopted. So I'm a huge proponent for adoption versus abortion, obviously. So I really appreciated my parents. They taught me a lot of great values, including hard work and discipline and faith. And so I had a great upbringing thanks to, the opportunities that America gave me, my adopted parents gave me, and I'm just so grateful for that. I wasn't quite ready for college. I went to college and I probably had a little bit more fun than I should have. So my parents pulled me out and told me I needed to figure out something else to do with my life. So I joined the military, and that's how I came to Hampton Roads, and I have been here ever since 1989. I've raised 3 kids in the Hampton Roads area, and I recently moved to Kempsville actually it's been 12 years now, and I served as the PTA president in the Kempsville district, and I'm going to tell you that was probably one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. Just being able to get in there with the schools, the teachers, or with the students, the teachers, and just really get to know their needs and what they're looking for was really imperative to making sure that I was there to support. Because one thing that I was raised with is if you care about something, you have to do something to make a difference. And that's really why I'm running right now. I still have a huge passion to help the schools, to help at the education system. I think we have one of the best education systems. I want to make sure that we maintain that. And again, that's one of the biggest reasons I'm running. I still have a passion for it, and I really want to do that in the area. I'm a huge community supporter. I teach fitness classes. I've been here working as a small business owner, and also, working in the schools. So I'm again running for the Kempsville district. I'd love your vote. I need all of your votes. And we are the military team. And if you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthias?
Yes, my name is Matthias Poltavia. I'm running for school board based on a lot of change that we need to have in place. My background is that I grew up in West Texas. I never was able to go to college, so I actually self-taught myself how to do IT work. Had a long career in IT, focusing on web development and application development. I've worked for the military. I've worked for Ferguson Steel, both locally, and currently working for a firm out of Boston. Also have a small business, raising my 3 kids as a single father since my ex-wife passed away 4 years ago. I've had tons of problems with accountability with teachers and staff. I see a lot of logistical problems, and we need to do a lot of process automation in order to fix a lot of the issues that we're seeing within the school system. I think we've got a long road. We've got a lot of things that need to be changed, and I hope to win your vote.
Thank you. Edward?
I am Dan Edwards, candidate for re-election to the Kempsville rep on the Virginia Beach School Board. I certainly want to thank the Tea Party for hosting and accommodating via Zoom. I just got off another meeting at 6:15, so otherwise I would be there. I seek re-election as I am passionate about public education. Done right, it is a great societal equalizer. My background, I had a 25-year Navy career, BS in education from Northwestern, and after the Navy I ran a small company with about 20 employees, and frankly I think that's probably the best prep for public service is if you've got to make payroll, you appreciate dollars and where they come from. I have the experience of 2 decades plus on the school board, including 18 as board chair. During this time, our schools can be locally appreciated and nationally respected. We went from 1 school to 83 schools fully accredited, all of them. We went from 2 to 8 citywide academy programs. We established the Renaissance Academy, Green Run Collegiate Charter, and an Achievable Dream program. My top goal this year is to get students back into the building as soon as they can safely be done. Thanks, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
Hi, everybody. I appreciate the Tea Party having me. I was planning on being there and joining you all, but I got an email from Robert asking me to do the Zoom, so I'm sorry I can't be there and enjoy the food at Mom's Kitchen, but I do appreciate the Tea Party inviting me. For some of you who don't know me, I am Jeffrey Feld. I'm running for an at-large position for the Virginia Beach School Board. I want to get equitable education for all, increase vocational schooling, watch our expenditures, safety is a main concern, and return to Val-Sal issues are some of my concerns. I'm running to make a difference for kids and the parents, teachers, and staff. Over the years, I've heard from my wife, other teachers, my friends, parents, patients at my podiatry office. Mostly, my opinion, they're frustrated. They're upset with the bickering, politics, lack of understanding of some of the students' concerns. The straw that broke the camel's back for me was when the school board accepted the school calendar suggestion, and then it got changed back over. What happened was that would jeopardize the enrollment in ADP programs, academies, and students would have to appeal to their local principals for an exemption. I don't think a student should have this extra obstacle. So after grassroots movement and the press got involved, the board thankfully decided to reverse course. So instead of being on the outside complaining, I had a lot of influence, and I figured I would continue to step up in the future. Of course, I asked my family if they were on board with me coming and becoming a candidate. I even waited a few days to even make sure my kids were on board. They were excited as well. My youngest said, so when you win, you'll look out for everyone, right? I told him, yes, I would, because everyone deserves an equal and equitable education. But if I don't win, you and your brothers will again see that you should always try for something you believe in. I know when I'm elected, I'll make the hard decisions on what's best, not only for my children, but also for all of our community kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And can I ask the three candidates on Zoom to either speak into your microphones on your computer or speak up louder so that the people in the back of the room, they're having trouble hearing you since we don't have a microphone.
And Facebook Live.
And Facebook Live, okay? So you can just speak up. Okay, so the first question is reopening, but since you're a school board member, I would like you and Dan to answer the question.
Of students, of parents wanted their students back in in-person learning, and 75% of teachers indicated they were fine with going back into the classroom as well. So I was an advocate of having the students back in the classroom immediately on September 8th because I felt that we could do it in a safe way. I believe that we could social distance properly. I mean, we've got preschools that are open, so the kids are going to have to go somewhere. You know, people are out and about, and they're doing it in a safe way. And I felt that we could do that in our schools, social distancing and cleaning, extra cleaning, and things like that, providing proper PPE for our staff. So I wasn't necessarily a fan of the measurements of the red, yellow, and green, especially since it measured regional, not local.
Okay, Joanna, what is your position on reopening?
I thought you said Dan. Did you want Dan?
No, when we get to Dan, I want Dan to tell us, you know, if he knows what the red, green, yellow, yeah.
All right. My position was that, or is that there should have been choice. So you could have both. You don't need just one or the other. That's the stipulation that they always give us, is that we have to pick one. And I think we could have done both. You could have for the kids that wanted, and parents that wanted to have their kids back, and for the teachers that wanted to go back, we had it open 5 days a week. For those that didn't and wanted to do virtual, which is perfectly fine, they could have had that, but they made their choice. So,
Jennifer?
I also agree with Joanna, and I came to that decision not just based on my opinion, but talking to actual parents and students. So many parents right now are sending their kids to private school because the private schools are opening. So obviously there is a need for parents to be able to send their kids back. In fact, I was just talking to one of my clients last night, and she is also doing the same thing. She's sending her child to a private school because he's in the gifted program, and she doesn't want him to miss a beat. So I do agree with both Vicki and Joanna that we can safely bring kids back that want to be there. Teachers want to come back as well. There are a handful of teachers, and we can make this happen safely.
Matthias?
Yes, although we would like to have our kids and teachers, staff members all back in school, I don't think that it's realistic. Logistically, it's the numbers don't work out. There's not enough teachers that do want to go back into class. There's not enough buses in order to follow the CDC guidelines. There's so many complications as far as getting the proper PPE and getting the supplies that need to be in place in order to make this happen. I just don't think that it's reasonable or feasible.
Dan?
I support safe choice. There is a minimum safety standard. Those parents that asked to go back, and I saw literally hundreds of emails, most of them went back to, and I said, are you okay with your child going back without social distancing? And most of them, virtually all of them, came back and said, no, we have to socially distance. I accept that. The operative question is defining safe. And
can you define the red, green, and yellow?
Matthias just commented, the numbers don't work. We can't sustain safety with the number of students. If the 62% that wanted to go back all went back, we could not socially distance. The proposal we have
Dan,
and is approved,
you got to stop.
lays out a safe threshold that I
Dan.
think is the right way to go. Thank you.
Stop sign. Okay, Jeffrey.
Alrighty, so let's answer the question very specifically. I only support a green or a red. I don't like the yellow at all. It's either safe or not safe, period. Having a science background, I do not support a 5-day return unless safety can be accounted for. Let's think about it. It's hard to contain head lice in the classroom. What about a virus that we can't see? Teachers are trained professionals in education and non-infectious disease. Unfortunately, we have limitations in the school setting besides the issues associated with spacing, sterilizing, cleaning, custodial staff, all right? We need more people to do those things. And that causes an increase in the budget. So where are the funds gonna come? We just cut a lot of money from the school budget. So having a plan on paper is good in theory, but when dealing with children, the plans need to be not only functional, it also needs to be practical. If you're an educator, parent, babysitter, you will come across a child who does not listen to your instructions, right? Surprise? So the child will just be a child. So no fault of his or her own. They'll interact with other students, they'll use their sleeve to wipe their mouth, or just ready to get up. It's not a straightforward answer, and this is a fluid situation. However, I follow CDC guidelines both professionally and personally.
Stop. You run over your time.
And we also need to
mute him.
You should be able.
Okay, Luis.
Yeah, we can't really hear you.
You can't hear us?
Can you see the stop sign?
We can see the sign, but we can't hear the questions.
You can't hear the questions?
Not very well. Not very well.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I believe in choice. I disagree with Mr. Edwards and my opponent, who they voted against opening the schools or giving a choice. Right now, the special needs students are actually going in seat. Where is the safe zone if they're so worried about the safe zone? My son hasn't had any COVID, and he goes to in seat in special needs and CSAP. So I don't think you get sick anywhere. Everybody's going to the supermarket. You go into the beaches with no mask. So you can get COVID anywhere. Day operate, duties. So I disagree with that. I think giving parents a choice is what we need to do.
Okay. The next question, we're going to start with Joanna. Okay. So, keeping with this topic, what is considered a safe environment for kids to go back to school? And if anybody knows that red, green, yellow thing, please explain. Okay.
I can't explain the yellow, green, red light, green light, whatever they're doing. I can say this: safety. We want our kids to be safe. We want them to go back and not get sick. We want our kids not to get hurt. We want our kids not to deal with school shootings. We want to do that, but safety is not guaranteed. So you can't sit here and say that we will only return when the kids are safe, because it's an illusion. So we do the best we can and pray.
Jennifer?
Wow, well, that was a really good answer, Joanna, so I hate having to be behind you. But to be honest with you, I was watching a child come into the restaurant tonight, and he was wearing a mask. Kids are resilient. They understand what is going on right now. We're not giving them the benefit of understanding what is happening. Kids understand. When I see kids out in the grocery store, they're wearing their masks. They're talking about this. They're clearly in the know about what their reality is right now. I think that I think adults sometimes are more worrisome than the kids, because they get it. The kids understand. I think that we can absolutely get them back to school. help them to understand that we social distance like we do everywhere else. The teachers will clearly have a role in making sure that this is taking place in the classrooms. But I do believe that everybody is anxious, and like Joanna said, complete safety is an illusion. If we wait, then we might never send our kids back to school. When is the right time at that point? So, thank you.
Matthias? What is
for me
safe?
So for me, a safe environment for the kids to go back to school is going to be one where we're not worried about anyone getting anything, whether that means that we've got the social distancing, or whether there's a vaccine, or there's a better plan that can be devised between now and when they actually do return. One of the biggest problems that I saw with the plan that was presented is the fact that they didn't look at logistics and cost. There was no association to how many additional buses. There was no cost to additional time for everyone. And I think we need to consider that even though the kids may be safe, in smaller groups, it's not necessarily something we want to subject our kids to, which can also infect other family members.
Okay, Dan, could you explain the red, green, and yellow zone and what would be considered safe for kids to go back?
I sure can. The red is where we are now and probably will be for a few weeks. The green is extremely safe, and to quote the doctors who were dialoguing with at 1 o'clock in the morning last week, the meeting, we may never get the green. Even with a vaccine, the positive rates are very likely to remain up there. That's why I think we need to start bringing students back as soon as we can get to a safe level. And I'm willing to look again at the safe level, but right now, if you go to Walmart, you've got to be a mask and social distance. And I think we need to recognize social distancing is going to be required as we bring kids back. And so it's not an easy answer.
Okay, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about how can we get the students back in school and staff in school to do their job as quickly and efficiently as possible, all right? Me being a professional in the medical field, I don't know all the answers, but I do know that if we wear masks, that will help reduce the spread. Whether your concern is for the children or the adults, it can still reduce the spread. So if an adult gets sick, then we still will have a teacher shortfall, even worse. So we want to protect those teachers. So we wear masks, we space out the desks, we clean up the rooms as much as possible. But we can't ignore the other issues of safety dealing with gun violence and other things. So we have a lot of issues of safety. And I hope that answered your question specifically on COVID safety.
Okay, Luis, what is considered safe for people to go back to school, children?
Like Dan even said it himself, there is no such thing as green, is going to be a green zone. And a vaccine is going to happen. What's a vaccine is the virus itself. So you have to obtain the virus in order to build antibodies. That's the way that our bodies are made up of. So we need that. So if you're exposed to it, your body is already you're making your immune system stronger because our body needs viruses and bacteria. That's what keeps our immune system stronger. And I'm surprised Dr. Feld doesn't know this since he's in the science field. So these are things that we have to do. Let's go back to school. Let's do what we have to do. And every day, live normal. I mean, we go to beaches. We do everything normal. I see everybody going to the beaches are packed, no mask, walking the boardwalk, nothing is done. So people are starting to really stop panicking. This is just a panic that they're trying to control.
Vicki, what is safe?
So I'm more afraid of my 16-year-old driving to school than I am of him getting or giving COVID. have, last year, we had 4,200 roughly cases of the flu in the state of Virginia. Of people who died. I believe 6 of those were children. Yet we didn't close our schools. A pediatrician at one of our school board meetings last week advised us that we probably won't ever hit the green zone that the superintendent recommended and the school board voted to approve, minus 3 of us, of this green zone. She said it might take 2 years for us to hit the green zone. Yet that's what my colleagues on the school board, some of them up for re-election, approved. We can't just say, oh, well, maybe we'll figure it out as it comes along. That's what we voted to approve. If private schools can do it, why can't public schools do it?
Okay, the next person the question will go to is Jennifer. Okay, during virtual instruction, should the teachers be in the classroom to have that interaction with students online if they have questions?
So you're asking, should we make the teachers
Be actually in the classroom doing the virtual learning? So they're in the classroom, they're broadcasting on Facebook somehow, and they're at their computer, and so there's that same interaction as if they were in the classroom with the teacher.
Again, I feel like choice is always the best option. And to give credit to the amazing Virginia Beach teachers that we already have, I would say that they need to decide what's going to be most effective. Some days I go into the office and some days I work from home. And so I think that we have to allow the teachers to figure out what is going to be the most effective way for them to be able to teach the students and do what they need. I've spoken to some math teachers, and they absolutely feel like they should be in the classroom. They need the boards. They need to be able to show the students how they're calculating. I don't understand math these days, and I probably need to go back myself. But the fact is that we probably should allow the teachers to actually effectively figure out what they need in terms of skills and props and everything else that they need to be able to teach the students well. So I say give the choice to the teachers.
Okay. Matthias, do you need me to read the question again?
No.
Okay, I just wondered if you heard.
For me, I think that we don't necessarily have to have the teachers in the school in order for them to have a class. Being that I work from home, I use the technology. Wherever they feel most comfortable with doing the job is where they should be able to do the job. Now, yes, some teachers may need to be in their classroom. They may need to have the tools around them that they've always had. In science, they may need the chemicals to do a lab experiment. If you're in math, you may need the boards. If you're in health, you may need a skeleton. There's so many things that for why they would want to be in class, but there's also so many reasons that we need to keep as minimal staff in building as possible, so that we don't have any of the outbreaks. I mean, when in Georgia, they already had 260 staff members just this week that showed up sick from being
Time's up. Dan?
I think it needs to be a teacher choice, but it needs to be subject to review by the teacher's supervisor, a principal or assistant principal, for 2 reasons. One, there may be valid functional reasons why the teacher will be more effective in the school. And secondly, if we have teachers that are taking advantage and not effectively doing their jobs at home, and that comes to the attention of the principal, they need to be encouraged to come on into the school. And obviously, health considerations for anybody on the staff is a consideration as well. Thanks.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, hi. I think it's a case-by-case decision. As long as the teachers have all the items they need to educate, and educate effectively, and they hold the kids accountable, you should let the teachers, who are the educated professionals, determine if it's effective for them to go into their classroom to teach or not. And if they're teaching virtually, there are some virtual learning centers that I believe they are going to be going to teach. So I think it's a case-by-case basis as determined by the professional teacher.
Okay, Luis?
Okay, I mean, me personally, I think we should give them a choice. There's some subjects that teachers are required to meet the boards on the classrooms, such as math, history, and things of that nature. But talking about accountability, but how can we give the kids accountability when they're turning zero anything in and they're getting 60? So how can we hold the kids accountable when our administration is not really holding the teachers accountable and down forward? I mean, we gotta if they don't turn in nothing, give them a 0. Let's go back. I mean, let's teach them responsibility, because these kids nowadays they don't even care about work, because they're gonna get a 60 regardless. It's passing.
Vicky?
I would like to correct a statement that my opponent made. He said that 260 staff members in Georgia tested positive for COVID in a school system, and that's false. The article actually says 260 staff members either tested positive or were exposed. And that was in a school district that's triple our size, and with only staff members being there. So I just wanted to correct that statement. I believe our teachers are essential workers. I think that their jobs, they are professionals, and we need to treat them as such. And I do think that they are professional workers. I've had so many teachers contact me and saying, can you please mandate that we have to be in classrooms? They want to be in their classrooms. The way it's set up right now, the superintendent has allowed for choice, but it is imperative that teachers keep their working hours logged. And there is, I'm an advocate for some enforcement. If they're going to be working from home, there needs to be some enforcement. They're actually doing the work. And, like I said, teachers are asking us to be back in the classroom. Thank you.
Okay, Joanna?
I'm going to be a little harsher than my colleagues. They should be back in the class. The reason being, taxpayer money goes towards paying the salaries, and all their supplies are in that classroom. The boards are in the classroom. Everything's in the classroom. There's nothing that's going to be at home that you're going to sit in front of something and give it to them. Now, for those that might be like health issues or anything like that, we can address those on a case-by-case basis. I completely understand that. You know what I mean? And if there's teachers that are studying stuff they need to be outside to show like different things, that's fine. We can address those issues. But on a regular, like a mathematician or anything like that, like they need to be in the classroom, because that's where they're going to get the best education for the kids.
Okay. Next question, we will start with Matthias. If schools don't open, what will be done for children with special needs, children who depend on schools for lunch, and mothers, parents that work?
So if the schools don't open, I think we definitely need to be cognizant of special needs. Zoom calls are going to be something that we can do. It is a limited interaction when you have a teacher that can do a meeting with a single student. I think that, being with PPE, that can be arranged. As far as parents that have school-age children, that's something that I don't have an answer for. And as an administrator, I don't know how we can be held accountable for a parent.
Dan?
The special needs need to be identified and to the maximum extent we can resolved by the students' IEP team, their individualized education plan. There's a team that's responsible for that, and those teams need to be energized and make sure that's done as best we can for each one, given the options of phone calls, Zoom, anything else that we can do. The school age, there are things that we need to look to trying to support directly or indirectly. There are nonprofit organizations out there that are looking at trying to set up basically effective day schools, in some of the churches that will be socially distant, and as far as and we need to try to help them as best we can.
Jeffrey?
Hi, I missed the very beginning of the question. Can you repeat that, please?
I'm gonna find it, hold on.
You guys hear Diana okay now?
Oh, here it is.
I guess not.
If schools don't open, what will be done for children with special needs, children who depend on schools for lunch, and parents that work during the day?
Okay, thank you for repeating it. So, number one, for the schools, for the children with special needs, any SEP program or anything like that, I think there needs to be an exemption and they should be going back. Because what happens is, instead of them continuing to make progress, they don't stay stagnant, they go backwards. So that is really, really important that we need to do that, but also keeping with some social distancing and masks when we're able to, and spacing and cleaning up. In regards to food, we need to continue providing some meals to kids, as I think the schools have already been doing, as well as, you know, for daycare and childcare. My wife and I, we have 3 boys. If my wife goes back for face-to-face education, then we have to plan our own daycare for our children. That's not a school's decision, it's not school's right. We as individuals, we need to do that, but we need to take that into consideration, considering our entire community.
Luis?
Yeah, with special needs, Mr. Edwards said something about the IEP, but like I said back in my earlier, it took me 2 years to get with the IEP team to actually reevaluate my son, to identify him as eligible to equal education. So first of all, we have to fix the evaluation team for the IEP that's conducting that, to be able to actually evaluate the children and what their needs are. Because that's one thing that they're failing miserably. Therefore, I, as far as everybody else, I think by identifying the special needs, then you can see where you're at and how much space you have for the rest of the other children according to their eligibility and their evaluation. As far as meals, I think they already gave cards to those children that get free meals. They give a $340 card, I think, gets sent home, so they could be able to purchase meals in home. So therefore, that's being taken care of from the mandated from the government.
Vicki?
Okay, so my answer is I don't know, and that's why I voted against the current plan. I've had parents, especially elementary school parents, who are very concerned about the amount of screen time their kids are going to be forced upon them. And, you know, it was mentioned that maybe these kids they can have access to, maybe churches can help, other preschools. Well, if somebody else can do it, why can't Virginia Beach Public Schools do it?
Joanna?
Yeah, I would just follow that with also, if special needs is okay to go back and they've been going, why can't everybody else go? Like, I just don't understand. And my fear for that question is that people are going to fall behind. My fear is that that stuff won't get taken care of, and that eventually it's going to lead to something worse than what we have now.
Jennifer?
I actually do have a friend with a special needs child, so I concur with both Vicki and Joanna and Luis in the mention that we do have to make provisions to ensure that they're getting their needs and wants taken care of, not just now in the pandemic, but also throughout the normal school year as well, because it is a definite need to be able to revise some of those current standards. Because they're definitely kind of falling by the wayside there. And I've actually had some parents who have taken their kids out of the Virginia Beach schools because of some special needs issues. So it's not just a pandemic issue, it's an issue during normal times as well. But yes, I agree with them. If we can bring special needs kids back now, then we should absolutely figure out a way to safely bring back those that want to come back and join the education force.
Okay. The next question will start with Dan Edwards. Okay, so you raised our taxes for full-day kindergarten, and with kids now being online for school, we must be saving money somehow with the schools not being open, should parents get a tax refund to take care of educating their kids at home with this online training?
We are not currently saving significant money because we are continuing to employ virtually all of our employees. We're continuing to pay bus drivers even though they don't drive, because if we don't, they'll all find other jobs and we won't have the drivers to get there. We've got the same issues with custodians. We are not saving money and are not in a position to provide the suggested rebate that's been requested. I regret that, but I don't know how else to sustain our workforce.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, the aspect of the question that we just had about special needs and programs like that, we need the funds to help educate those children as well as take care of the expenditures that we have currently. We've had about a $54 million reduction in the school budget, all right, over a 2-year period, and it'll probably get worse. So to get a tax refund, although I would love to have it, I'm sure everybody in the room would love to have one, we need to use those funds to help out the other individuals. So that's why we talk about equitable education to help everybody else. We do have a revenue sharing program here in Virginia Beach. COVID-19 showed a flaw in that system. It's usually predictable, but we need a needs-based funding so we can supplement the anticipated shortfall that's going to be coming in the future. So I think to make an answer really quick, no, I don't think that you should get a tax refund. They should be allocated to helping out the kids and the teachers.
Luis?
Okay, so as far as that, that question is concerned, I think we should, if the schools don't want to open, then just go with what President Trump said. Let the money follow the kids. And if the kids are going to go homeschool, then the parents can get that break. If they don't go private school, let the money just follow the kids. Because it seems like the school board doesn't really want to do anything, and they just letting the VBA tell them what to do. So we have to take hands in our own hands.
So Vicki, could you also in your answer tell us we're paying people not to work, substitutes, bus drivers?
You keep giving me extra questions, huh?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
do I get 2 minutes?
No, just one.
Well, first of all, I voted against the tax increase because I believe that we could have funded it in our operating budget. We didn't need to increase taxes for that. We have a nearly $1 billion budget for Virginia Beach schools. So if we can't make appropriate education for those kids, and I agree with Luis that, let's give some school choice to our families. If we can't educate their kids in person, let them go find somewhere to educate their kids on their own. And then, I'm sorry, what was your second half? I forgot it already. We also paid for substitutes. We paid for substitutes, which wasn't something that I supported this past spring. Substitutes, not long-term substitutes, but if you had worked 30 days prior to the shutdown and you were a substitute teacher, that you were not under a contract or anything like that, you were a temporary employee, we still kept paying those salaries. So, while I don't fault our bus drivers for them not having to take our kids to school. I mean, I want them to be able to take our kids to school, and I think they want that too. And that's why I voted against the plan. So, I can kind of see why we still need to pay our bus drivers.
Joanna?
So yeah, I would agree. The money should follow the student. It's as easy as that. But we are paying them. Unfortunately, it's either that or basically the bus drivers, the nurses, all of them are without a job because they decided that they couldn't go back to school. If we decided we could go back to school right now, everybody would have a job and would be working.
Jennifer?
Well, I'm not sure that the government ever understands a budget, but so with that being said, that's why I actually do counseling. I personally do homebuyer counseling. I do counseling for budgeting, and my concern is that if we, again, don't want to reopen schools, but we continue paying, then again, like PPP, it's got a limit. You know, all of these different things. Unemployment right now, it has a limit. When is the education system in the Virginia Beach area is going to decide what is the limit? So I would say that right now, unless we can determine what it is and the time frame that we're looking at to bring people back, if they're going to continue to get paid, then we're going to basically have to, again, let the money follow the student, because otherwise we're just going to run out of money.
Yes, I think it's a misnomer to say that the kids aren't going back to school, because the school year will restart. They will be doing virtual learning. These teachers will still be teaching. They will be teaching from multiple locations, whether it's a school or their home. And if you don't want to have your child in that virtual environment, you have the right to pull your child from the school. But if you're going to pay for private school, then you should be able to be responsible for paying for that private school, not the school district. We are not setting up charter schools, and I don't believe we need charter schools.
Okay, Jeffrey, we'll start with the next question. Are you aware of behavioral issues in the school? How should we handle them? What are your thoughts on positive behavioral interventions and supports?
Okay, great question. In fact, I was just speaking to a retired teacher the other day. She was telling me that she was at Renaissance Academy, got pushed into a cubby by a student, broke her collarbone, had to get surgery, but before having surgery and then retiring early, she actually was told you have to go back to the class with that student. I am very much against that. We were talking about safety with COVID for students and teachers. We also need a safety for students and teachers in regard to behavior issues. So to me, that's very important. For positive behavior reinforcement and PBIS, that plan I think is a good plan. However, teachers have so many plans and so many activities and so many binders behind their desks that they have too many things they need to focus on. So I think if we reduce their amount to like maybe 3 or 4, they can then use the programs as they were designed and efficiently so they can be meaningful and have an effect on the students. And I know my time's running up before you put up the stop sign.
Louis? Yes, Louis.
Okay. My thing is, as far as discipline, is we have to enforce the rules that we already have. We have so many already policies in the handbooks and the student handbooks, and they're not being enforced. When you have administration telling the teachers, oh, you cannot do a referral, you have a Renaissance Academy only about 30% occupied. So where is all this stuff? What's failing? Right there is the initiative from the above to down. They're telling the kids don't give referrals, don't give referrals. So these kids are now doing whatever they want. They don't care about authority. They're pretty much telling teachers where to go and what to do. And now the teacher's taking time to discipline them instead of actually doing their jobs. And this is what we have an issue here.
Vicki?
So the reason I'm running for re-election is on this issue. We sit on student discipline hearing panels as school boards, as a school board member, and I had to, during one of these, I had to watch a video of an incident that occurred. A 6th grade girl was sexually molested on a school bus. I had to watch that. It will never leave my mind. And the student had a record. The student should have never been in that school. PBIS is not effective. During a meeting, I asked our administration when they were saying they were going to implement PBIS throughout the whole district, I said, well, can you show me some data that show that this works? And we've had it in the division for 5 years. They couldn't show me any data. PBIS, any research that I've found that does show that it works, shows that the maximum amount of students that you can have in a classroom for it to work is 16. Most of our classes have nearly 30 kids in them. It doesn't work and it needs to end. Cell phone problems are a huge problem in our school, and that's creating a lot of the discipline problems. We really need to get rid of, really have an effective policy for cell phones.
Joanna?
Yeah, so my son, as I said before, my son was assaulted in our school system. He was punched 18 times before the teacher got to him. The kids sought him out. He's in a totally different classroom, and my son was in the gym, and he punched him in the back of the head before he got there. The only thing my son did was he went like this to cover his head, and then he got suspended for 3 days, and the kid got suspended for 5. and he got to walk. He got to graduate, everything was hunky-dory, but he had a record. It shouldn't have happened. And it did, and we need to address that, and we need to stop shackling our teachers.
Jennifer?
Well, ever since I had my first child, I will tell you that I was told kids crave structure, boundaries, and discipline. And I think that if we do not create an environment where they understand those boundaries are, and also support the teachers and the administration to be able to make sure that we maintain those boundaries in a productive way, I think that we're still going to have discipline issues. And my biggest concern is to make sure that teachers are being supported and protected. Because again, they are essential workers. They are essential to our kids. They're essential to us as parents because they spend so much time with our kids. So yes, discipline issues are alive and well, and we need to definitely put some focus there as well.
Matthias?
Yes, I am aware of some behavioral issues within the schools, but with PBIS, we have to have some system in place that helps lead to getting the data so that we know what practices do work. Virginia Beach is still fairly new to the program, and it is shown in multiple other areas that it is just a lack of training, education, and resources that make this work. And we should be working on improving the system, not trying to just remove it.
Dan? Dan, we can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Okay, PBIS done right works. If it's not done correctly, then it is a disaster. Last year would have been our first full year with it system-wide, and obviously that year was truncated, so we don't even have valid data to tell us, PBIS, it has discipline, but it also has a requirement to figure out why, what's the background, what are the issues that are causing, which is the appropriate thing to do, and I hope we continue to do it. We do have issues with cell phones, and I agree that we need to take a hard look at what we do there.
Okay. I think we're up with starting with Lewis. We started with Jeffrey last? Yes? Okay. So all of these questions kind of deal with the same thing, so I'm just going to what is your position on teachers? What is your opinion of school resource officers? If elected, will you propose and vote to implement Tim Anderson's plan to allow school staff and teachers to carry a firearm at work?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question, being that I own a security company. But that being said, I can tell you, as far as resource officers, I think we could use, in the security world, we have what's called special conservators of the peace. They're sworn peace officers that have same powers as a law enforcement officer. And they are trained at the range. I do not believe teachers need to be armed due to the fact their job is to teach. Let's train other officers like security guards or armed guards or special conservators to do that job because they're trained for that. And I think we could actually get more coverage by going that route instead of using the police department, which is understaffed by 75 officers, which is a police precinct, according to the FBI. And these are things that I talked to Tim Anderson myself, and working together, I think we could come up with a great plan to benefit our students in our schools.
Vicki?
I support Tim Anderson's plan. This is not arming teachers. This isn't just saying teachers, you have to bring a gun to school. This is about volunteers being properly trained by law enforcement, and they will basically be deputized. So I'm against anybody carrying a gun if they're not using it. I'm not against people carrying guns. I believe people, especially people in our schools, should be trained, highly trained, to carry weapons. Especially around the students. All you have to do is look at Parkland and see why not only they needed more security officers there in Parkland, and then 17 kids would still be alive. So I support proper training for school staff who want to volunteer to go through that training. I believe the Sheriff's Department in Virginia Beach has even agreed to have partnership with our schools if that's something that we want to do. So that's something that I definitely could support.
Joanna?
So that's always a very loaded question when everybody asks about Army teachers. Everybody loses their mind. So here's the thing. I'm a Second Amendment girl. All right. So I will always say that people should be able to carry. The reason we have issues is because schools are soft targets. So because there is no weapons allowed at all. Do I think that teachers should have to be armed? Absolutely not. It's not their job. But at the same time, in Colorado, there's actually a program where they send their teachers through an extensive training. It's almost more extensive than the police force, and they volunteer for that. It's voluntary. So I think if they want to be able to carry, they should be allowed to. And I would like to learn more of Tim Anderson's stuff.
Jennifer?
I actually also agree. I am a concealed carry person myself, and so I absolutely agree that if we properly train those in the school that are there with the kids and working with them on a day-to-day basis, if we properly train them, I worked security when I was in the military, so we went through situations all the time, and if we can continue to properly train those that are in the school so that we can have a little bit more protection on the ground, I am in support of that. Again, I'd like to look at different options in order to do that, whether it's security or whether it's arming teachers or doing what we need to do. But I definitely feel like there should be options available to have people ready to handle security problems in the school.
Matthias?
Yes, so, with Tim Anderson's plan, deputizing teachers and letting them carry guns in class, past the fact that we would be arming the teachers, this plan was offered as a zero-sum cost. And I've called Tim Anderson out on being willing to pay the $9 million directly to the school district for the initial costs and commit to paying any future costs associated with it, and he's flatly turned me down. The problem with the whole thing is we're asking for additional costs when you're sitting here asking for pay to be cut with the entire school district because the children are in school. We can't afford additional costs at this time. There's no way that I can possibly support adding additional costs when we can't figure out how to pay for teachers and pay for the rest of the stuff that we need for our schools.
Dan?
I don't think having guns in the classroom with a teacher adds a safety factor. I think it provides more risk than reward in terms of potential improved security. I do not support that proposed plan. I do think our school resource officers are good. They are Virginia Beach police officers, and they do a great job in our secondary schools.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, hi. I want to go back one quick second with my time to talk about something. Vouchers, in my opinion, take money that is needed to strengthen the public education designed for all socioeconomic backgrounds and abilities, period. To answer the question that you have on focus about Tim Anderson, I believe in your Second Amendment right. However, I do not support such within a school building. I've even gone on Mr. Anderson's radio show, all right? But I do not support arming all teachers who want. We should increase mental health resources, stop the school to prison pipeline, utilize PBIS, and we can use military resources that we have in this area, all right? They can be part of a custodial staff, for example. We can make sure they're properly trained for the civilian realm and have continuing education on a regular basis. They would run to the situation, neutralize it, versus hiding in a corner like somebody did in Parkland.
Okay, so the next question we start with Vicki. Are you in favor of giving alternative options for a teacher organization, give them the same access to teachers afforded to the VBEA, the Virginia Beach Education Association?
Absolutely. No, we need, so a couple of years ago, our school board voted to change policy when there was a new education association being formed several years ago. The VBEA members, which we have 3 current VBEA members sitting on our board, they voted to change the policy so that it was so narrow that the VBEA union they're the only ones who have access to our teachers. They have a mailbox in each school. They can come in and talk to teachers. They even have their dues pulled directly out of payroll checks. And so we need some competition for the union. They came out to a rally at the school board. Parents were there for choice, and these teachers were honking their horns, although I heard they were bussed in from Richmond. They were honking their horns while a parent who was advocating for choice was speaking about her autistic child, and she was concerned that he wasn't going to have a proper education. The behavior of these union people was horrendous, and we need some competition there, and I absolutely support some additional education associations stepping up.
Joanna?
Yeah, it's very simple. No one likes monopolies. That's why you should have multiple things. Everybody gets a choice.
Jennifer?
I am all about having competition. I feel like that gives everybody choice, and I'm pro-choice always. In terms of, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I am in favor of people having a choice, and if we only have one system right now or one union that is probably monopolizing the school, we should offer other options as well. And I believe there are actually other options that they could choose. They just don't know about.
Matthias?
Yes, so I'm in favor of teachers being able to access other unions and being able to recruit themselves however they want, as long as it's done correctly through the state and competition. Make them, make the unions work together for the teachers' benefit.
It doesn't have to be a union, it could be just an organization. Dan?
Choice is valid and actually choice is provided for within our current policy, but there are minimum requirements from a practical standpoint to get an organization up and running. And that's what's provided for now, and I think it's reasonable.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, hi. I think it's really important to have alternative options for teachers versus just one thing. We offer those alternative options to students, whether they want to go to a typical high school, they want to go to an academy, they want to take one elective or not. I think having options like that in schooling are fine, as well as in representation, whether it's an organization or a group. I support that. I also did look for the VBA's endorsement. I did seek their endorsement. I'm fully honest and open about that. I did not get that because I had my answers, my opinions and views, and they didn't agree, and that's fine. But my attitude is I'm going to talk to anybody and everybody who wants to talk to me. I'm going to give you my opinions and views, and if I can get you to understand that I'm going to be the right candidate, then you're going to support me for my at-large position.
Luis?
Yeah, I believe we should give teachers a choice. I mean, even when Vicky was mentioning the school board meeting, the VBA had so much control. The way they staggered their speakers, they had probably had about 40% of the speakers were VBA representatives. They were taking off their red shirts before going to speak, and you could see that happening. And the way the organizer was doing it, it was VBA, and then a parent. So they were stacking all the speakers the way to their favor. And this is why, like Vicky said, 3 of the board members are VBA members, and therefore they're in cahoots with them. So we have to change that come November 3rd.
Okay, we have a lot more questions, but we don't have time to ask them. So we're now going to go to closing statements, and we will start with Jeffrey. So you have a minute to tell us how anybody can help you or why they should.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate the time that everybody sat here and whether watched on Facebook or any other medium. I greatly appreciate the time and effort. I really appreciate Tea Party for having me. If you have any more questions, you can reach out to me, reach out to my webpage, Facebook, call me on my phone. I'm more than happy to talk to you, whether it's another Zoom meeting for a small group or having a conversation or even meeting face-to-face, obviously with social distancing. I feel strongly that the school board is a place that politics should not be a factor. Kids do not care who is a local representative or not. Us as the adults do. As the adults, we know the importance of elected officials for our school's decisions should be made on what is good for students and staff and not political affiliations. I'm the only independent in this race, supposed nonpartisan race, and thus I'm not beholden to anybody except for your children. So please vote for me, Jeffrey Dockfeld. We're accepting donations. People want to put up yard signs, contact us. We appreciate the help that you can give us.
Dan?
Again, thanks to the Tea Party for hosting. I'm not a stranger to your organization. I've attended many of your meetings over the years. And no, we don't always agree on everything, but I certainly do listen and appreciate your support. Many tonight have talked about the quality of our schools, and if you think our schools are good, my fingerprints are all over them from 2 decades of working governance on behalf of the taxpayers and the parents. And I'm proud of where our schools are, and I hope you'll agree that we should continue the quality that we have now. Thank you.
Matthias?
Yeah, so if you'd like to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. My biggest thing here is, we need to bring accountability. We need to bring structure. We need to do some process automation. We need to improve the processes. So look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Jennifer? Yeah, we're going the reverse.
Again, I'm running for the Kempsville District, and I would appreciate your vote because of my continued support. I've actually done 20 plus years in the schools, feet on the ground, working with the students, the teachers. If any of you have been in the PTA, you know that you're not just doing that for any money or position. You do it because you love the students and teachers, and that's what I've done for 20 plus years, is get in the schools. For many years, I was in the school every single day talking to teachers and students, and that's really my goal for running, is to help with the discipline issues, to also help with the workforce ready type of opportunities, as opposed to just sending all kids in a college bound opportunity. So I want to make sure that we also have a workforce ready narrative as well. But that's why I'm running. I just want to make sure that we're there to support teachers and students, and I'm still passionate about that. So thank you again, Jennifer Franklin, Kempsville District.
Joanna?
Again, Joanna Moran, running for the Rose Hall District for school board. If you want your kids to come first, this is the team. This is the team to do it. It's student first for a reason. So we will always put the students first. So go for us. Thank you.
Vicki?
Yes, studentsfirstvb.com. You have some flyers on your table. You also have some sign-up sheets on your table where you can sign up for yard signs, work a poll, volunteer to help. Carolyn Weems back there also has some flyers. If you want to donate to my campaign, you can just complete that, or go on studentsfirstvb.com and you can get a link to all of our websites, and you can choose who you would like to donate to. Thank you so much to the Tea Party and for everybody in here for your support for me over the years, for showing up to school board meetings, for sending me kind messages of support. I couldn't and would not do it without you. We're a team. Everybody in this room and those of us up here, studentsfirstvb.com, all 4 of us need to get elected. Please help us. We need your donations. We need your time, and we need your talent. So thank you so much.
Luis?
Well, thank you guys for inviting us and just letting us introduce ourselves and show you a little bit more about us and where we stand for. Like Vicki said, we're a team. We're a team that's going to fight for our parents and our teachers and the students as well. We're not going to sell out. We don't have like NASCAR patches of organizations that represent us like the union. We're totally independent from the union. We don't let them influence us in any way. So yeah, just Students First is the website for us. You can click on our link on each of our pictures, and then it leads us to our own individual sites. Okay, and again, thank you.
Can I have a round of applause for all of these candidates? Thank you so much for being willing to step up and serve our teachers and our children. All right, and everybody out there, you know, candidate of your choice, if you can help them, please do. Look them up, ask more questions at other forums. And now we are going to sign off on Facebook.
Thank you.
And Zoom. Bye, everybody. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.